Hi, welcome. In this video, I'm going to be attempting to make a different style of Christmas tree, which I've seen some pictures online. I started by trying to draw what I think it might look like. So starting off with the larger one, and then you can basically do the same thing for the other part, except you won't have the point. As far as the width is concerned, I'll do that last after cutting, depending on the thickness of the final wood that I'm using. And same thing here for a smaller version. So based on these drawings for the smaller ones, I need a piece of wood 8.5 inches by 7.5 inches. For this part, 7.5 by 7.5. For the larger tree, 11 by 10 and 10.5 by 10 inches. So I'll go through my wood pile. I think I'll be using alder for this, and then glue up some pieces to make these sizes. So I've cut some pieces aside for the larger one and for the small ones, and now I'll just go and plane the edges and get ready for glue ups. So I've got all the pieces ready for glue up, so I'll start with the first piece. This would be for the larger tree. Stick it into the clamps. So there's the first glue up. We'll let that set over here. And I'll continue with the rest of the glue ups. So after about an hour, you can do it after 30 minutes, but just take all the pieces out of the clamps. The glue is not fully cured, so it's easy enough to scrape the excess glue off at this point. And we'll just let it fully cure overnight, and then we can start working on the trees. Here are the next day. The glue is all set, so I'll just do some sanding, and then we'll get ready to put the pattern on the boards. So here are the boards all sanded. Next step I'll do is just cut one edge flush, and that'll be the bottom of each tree. Next step, I'm going to put the pattern onto the pieces of wood. For this one, I'm going to use some carbon tracing paper. If this all turns out well, maybe I'll make a pattern out of thin plywood and then use that to trace. But for the first one, just going to do the carbon paper trace. So I'll just set this, center it. Add a little bit of tape so it doesn't move. Using a mechanical pencil without the lead, we'll start tracing it. Start from the bottom. So there's the first pattern trace. So I'll continue with the rest of it. Tree pattern has been transferred to all the pieces. So now we'll go to the scroll saw. I guess the most important part would likely be this. So maybe I'll make it a little small and test it out, and then do the rest of the cuts. Now I'll continue with the other cuts. So here's half of one tree. I'll continue with the rest off camera. Here's a smaller tree cut out, the two pieces, and they go together. I did have to do a little bit of sanding to get them to fit, but it doesn't look too bad. Probably have to fix the bottom a little bit, trim it, but it's not too bad. So now I'll move forward with the other tree. I think what I'll do this time is cut these grooves on both of them and then ensure that they fit. If the groove's a little smaller, I can pass a bigger piece through the planer, or you can sand them. So I'll start with the 2 grooves. So here you can see the one slot is perfect, but on the other board I made it quite a bit too big. It looks perfect at the top, but at the bottom I must have went out. So I think I'm going to just redo this piece for it to look better. So I have to do another glue up for this piece. Otherwise I could just fill it. And if I fill it and paint it, then this will be fine. But I think I'll just make another piece and hopefully do better on the next try. So I now have the second piece ready to cut. I think one of the tricks would be possibly make the hole slightly smaller than your wood and then sand or plane it to the thickness so it'll fit. And for this one, I'll just make sure I cut it no thicker than this one. So let's do that now. So for my second try, it's a little bit better, but I still made it too wide for that thickness of wood. So, so I think I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to make these permanent and fill the cracks. But the idea of these is that they come apart. Part of it is okay, but part of it is not okay. Well, like I said, the idea of it is when you're done for Christmas, then you can just take them apart and they store away very flat. Or if you were to build these to sell, it'd be easy enough to ship like that. But anyways, I guess in this case, like I said, this one was pretty good. But in this case, I think I'm just going to go ahead and just make them that they are permanently standing. So I'll go ahead and cut out the trees. I have now cut out the 2 pieces for the larger tree. Ideally they would fit perfectly, but as mentioned, there's a bit of a crack there. So I think I'll end up gluing it, like I said, and filling it in and then painting it. So I think the next step is somehow round these off. I think I might try to sand them to a point, making it look a little more realistic in 3D. So let me try that next. So I think that looks pretty good. So I'll just continue doing this both sides for all of the trees. Now just a close-up view of the sanding. You can see it's curved in to the points on both the pieces for the large tree. So I think that's going to look a little more realistic. I'll have to do the same to the smaller one and then do some sanding here. Okay, so I'm going to add some glue here, and hopefully next time I do this I do a better job. I won't be gluing them, and hopefully you do a better job than I did. Okay, and then just assemble them. And then when that's dry, I'll make some filler and fill it in so that they could be painted. I guess I might as well do the same to this one, even though it's not so bad. And assemble the small one. And we'll just let the glue set and then figure out what kind of filler to use, whether just wood filler or some epoxy. So I'm going to mix some sawdust with glue to make some filler. Where I'm going to end up just painting it. I think it'll be just fine. Mix some glue. Way too much glue. Just make a bit of a paste out of it. And let's just see how this will work. I think this will be okay. As I said, plan now will be to paint it, so it should look good when it's done. We'll let the glue set and then we'll sand it and be ready for painting. Looks like a mess right now, but after it's done, I think it'll look good. Just have to get some green paint. So we'll let that set, and then I'll be sanding and painting. So here we are the next day, and just time to sand this. So here are both trees all sanded and ready to paint. So I'm going to try to paint it with some of this green paint I had on hand using the Cricut sprayer. Spray a little bit on the bottom. So this paint really wasn't suitable for the Cricut sprayer, so for now I'm just going to do a brush. I think next time I do this project I'll buy some spray paint, but this should be okay. Well, here's the large tree painted. I'll let these dry, possibly do a second coat. We'll see after it dries what it looks like. So here are the two trees after 2 coats of the green paint. Again, I would have preferred to spray them, I think. It would be a lot easier, so I'd buy a can of spray paint next time. But they still look pretty good with these. Overall, I like the design. Again, you can learn from my mistakes if you want to make them, that they come apart. Just be careful when making the grooves so they go together. But if not, again, this is a good solution to not have to throw it all away. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks again for watching. Hope to see you again soon. Bye.